a Double Face, a true crime podcast. Please make sure to follow, like, and subscribe and get the notifications when a new episode drops. Please help by leaving a 5-star review. It helps the small podcasters like ourselves. Thank you again. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. The Double Face, and I'm Jose.
Hi guys, it's Melissa.
So we have true crime, and true crime it is. So Melissa has a really good one today. We have a lot going on in our personal life. We're so sorry about last week. Sometimes things come up and that's why we're trying to play catch up this week. So we're trying to do 2 at a time. So here we are. Anyway, let's get started.
Where did we go?
What do you mean?
This past weekend too, on top of that, of us being super busy.
Yeah, the reason I also couldn't get the podcast out is because I had a stand-up show. I do it with Chona E, and I'm the host for Chona E. And so I went to Arlington, and we did a stand-up, and it was amazing. I can't explain how well it went. I posted it on my platform, so it was Jose Na Juan, but it was so much fun. Mm-hmm. It was. I mean,
I didn't go, but
no, she couldn't. Yeah. Normally, she goes to all my stuff, but when she can't make it, she can't make it, and I understand. Also, but it went really well. McAllen, we're gonna be there in just a couple of days on September 14th, but that's not part of my thing. But I just wanted to say thank you for following. We're gonna be at Cine El Rey in McAllen with Chona E. Okay. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
Saturday we went to go see Joe Coy.
Oh, that's right. Oh, we had a good time.
I had such a good time.
We had a blast
because we hadn't really. We hang out like when we go, get a couple of drinks and stuff like that. But to like do a comedy show and stuff like that, we hadn't hung out like that.
But our life gets crazy sometimes.
No, so. It does. Like Jose's doing his thing, and then I'm doing the mom thing.
She has a teenager, yes, and so
So we went to the show together. So it was fun. I didn't get to see your reactions, but yeah.
For what?
Like as far as like
Joe Coy?
Yeah.
Well, it's because we were stuffed like sardines.
So,
we were stuffed. And we were right behind her. I was sitting behind her.
To the side,
and I had to it was just a weird position, but we had a good time.
I sure did.
And we bought merch.
Yeah.
Okay, with that said, let's get straight to it.
So my case is going to be about Molly Matheson. And with this, it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth between her and other cases that are involved. Yeah, and they're not huge cases, but they're minor cases that played a huge part in where the ending ends up.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay, let's go.
So, and I couldn't get a lot of, because it was a smaller case, I couldn't get a lot of background on how she grew up and and stuff like that. So it'll start kind of where the case is going to start. So She is a 22-year-old from Fort Worth, Texas. Mm-hmm. And she was a best friend to her mom. They were so close. She was really close-knit with her family. She was also a middle child, but at the time it was just her and her brother. And when she was in middle school, she played a huge part in having 2 more brothers that were adopted from Korea. So she was super excited to have younger siblings, and she also played a role in them when they were growing up. She was like the second mom. Aww. So when you see pictures during the episode that I was watching, she was just so elated to be there. She was hugging them and squeezing them, big old smile. So I was just like, oh my God, she had such a wonderful time.
She was a proud big sister.
Exactly, yeah. Because it was just her and her brother, so she's just like, well, I don't got no siblings. And then when the parents decided to adopt, she was, she had so much fun with them.
What do you mean her and her brother?
She had an older brother, and then it was her.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So she needs to have somebody younger.
Younger.
Wait, that's a sibling.
Sorry. Siblings. Hijo, my Mexican's coming out. Siblings that were younger than her. Sorry. And her family described her as she would light up the room. Anytime that she walked in it, she was kind, friendly. It don't matter what people were going through, she always wanted to make them feel better. She was selfless, sweet, energetic, supportive. I mean, and these are coming from her parents, her friends, everybody. She loved being on social media. She was big-hearted. Like, she wanted to help people so much that she was going to school to be a social worker, to help the troubled youth and things like that. So she started attending the University of Arkansas. And when she was out there, she's just like, you know what? I really miss my family, because again, it doesn't gives me a short little story of her being in Arkansas. Her junior year, her and her best friend at the time, or in that time frame, decide to come back to Texas and say, you know what? I think it's time to be with my family. I don't want to be away from them. My brothers are young, so let me go back. So she ends up coming back to Texas and attending the University of Texas, Texas Christian University. And that's where she finishes off her senior year, or about to.
Oh, okay.
And she also has a part-time job, which I thought it was kind of weird. I was like, she's going to Texas Christian University, and she has a part-time job at a lingerie store.
The opposite.
The opposite. I was like, what? Can I hear that
She's
again?
a student, honey. She got to make that money.
She's got to make that money because
That's
she's
right.
living. This is the first time she also lives on her own.
Which most
students,
students,
because out there, obviously, she had probably a dorm because she was out of state. So she probably had a dorm. So this is the first time she was living on her own. Sorry, guys.
Be kind, rewind.
Right. So let me see. She had a small apartment, and when they said nestled, I didn't understand at the time. Later on, you see pictures of what they meant by nestled behind a home. So it was a garage apartment. Yeah. So the way you can describe it is, and I'll show you pictures later, Jose, so that way you can see. But it's the house, and then it's a driveway, and when you go up the driveway, all you see is the garage. And then if you turn left of the driveway, there's an apartment. So the apartment is attached to the garage, and then that's how it's nestled in the corner of the house. So that's where and she was like about 10 minutes away from her parents.
Oh, super
close. Super close, and she wasn't that far away from the university either. She was like smack in the middle. And I guess that's why she picked that garage apartment, which was weird because it was not weird, but it's how when you find those little nuggets where it's just like, what? It's crazy. How did you find that? It's way back here. It's over here. So it was kind of crazy to see where it was at.
But I like the fact that she still has her independence. She's working, but she's still close enough to family where she's like, I'm hungry.
Exactly, because they're super close. So she wanted to stay. She wanted to stay close.
I need to do my laundry,
right. Speaking of laundry, that'll tie in later. Okay. It's crazy how you said that. So on April 9th, 2017, Molly heads to her parents for that Sunday afternoon to go have dinner, because she tries to hang out with her parents as much as she can. Remember, she came back to spend time with family. So she enjoys a Sunday dinner with them. They're talking, laughing. And then Molly eventually has to head back home because she has a paper that she needs to finish. Okay. So she says her goodbyes, kisses and hugs her dad and her mom. And off she goes because she's going to have to finish her paper. Then she has to go to work the next day. Okay. So she says goodbye. On April 10th, 2017, her mom receives a call at 3:40 p.m. in the afternoon. And it's a call from Molly's manager stating that she hasn't shown up to work. And it's not like her because she's very punctual. That's one thing that they did say about her, that she was very punctual.
It's
she was
so
never
weird.
Late.
She gives just the story alone lets you know that she's responsible.
Exactly. And she's like, she's always on time. Like, I'm not sure what's going on. It's really making me nervous. If you probably need to go check on her. So she goes, the mom decides to go and check on her, and she's like, on her way to going and seeing where Molly's apartment, she's like, I started getting this nervous feeling because as I was driving over there, I was calling her and she wasn't answering. But she's also known to take naps during the day. They called her the afternoon nap queen. Like, she loved to take naps. So she thought, okay, well, maybe she's taking a nap. But it wasn't until she made a call to a friend that lived across the street, and Molly used to babysit for them every so often. And so when the mom made the call to the friend, she's like, hey, do you see Molly's car out in the driveway? And she's like, yeah, it's kind of parked on the curve, so it's out there. And so she's like, well, she's not answering her phone.
On the
like,
curb.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So the driveway's like this, so I'm not sure if it was over here or kind of sitting on this side, but she said curve. So I was just like, okay.
That sounds a little weird, right?
Yeah, it does. So I was just like, okay, then that's where the mom started getting nervous. She's like, okay, well, her car's there. Why isn't she answering her phone? I've called her and called her. I know she takes naps, but she usually answers her phone by the, the
fairly
fifth time.
Quickly.
Exactly. Yeah. And so she gets there and she starts running up the driveway. And as she's running up the driveway, because she's like, okay, I'm already getting frantic. Like, I don't know what's going on. So she gets there and she's the door was unlocked. So she was able to open it. She goes in and she's like, it's doesn't look unusual. Yes, is there, like, Molly was messy. She was a messy girl.
Really?
So yes, she had pillows and blankets kind of scattered everywhere. The small, because it was a small apartment, so kind of all over the living room. Then you walk towards it looks like a small hallway, and she had like all her clothes kind of, because she didn't have a closet, so it's kind of like all her clothes is kind of sitting on this side with the dresser. Then this side you had like what do you call it when you have the sink and the mirror by itself outside the restroom?
So like a studio.
Exactly. So she had that.
So it's all one room.
Yeah, well, not one room, but yeah, I guess kind of.
Because the only thing separate would be the restroom, right?
The restroom, and I think her bedroom had because they don't show pictures of the bedroom, so I'm assuming it was like the living room, the hallway, maybe a room for the bedroom.
So they know one bedroom.
Yeah, probably. Okay. So they had a vanity outside, and her stuff was everywhere, her curling iron, her makeup. So she said it didn't.
She was a little cochina.
Yeah. So it didn't look unusual for Molly's apartment to look like that. And she goes, I'm looking for her. I'm calling her. I don't find her. I walk back out towards the front because there's like a little patio-ish area separating the house, the main house from the garage apartment. Mm-hmm. She goes, and I'm out there, and she's like, I'm thinking like, oh my God, where can she be? She goes, then I realized that I didn't look in the restroom. So she goes back in, opens the restroom, because it's literally like she turns like a small corner, and you kind of like slide a little, like kind of like what your doors here look like. Kind of you slide them open. Yeah, and there she finds Molly. At the bottom of the shower with just a t-shirt on that's damped, and her hair is damped. The shower's not on. And so she's trying to shake her and wake her up.
So her hair's damp, her clothes is damp.
Her t-shirt, that's all she had on. Nothing else. She didn't have nothing on from the bottom down.
So she was naked?
From the bottom down, yeah.
That's weird. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, because I know you.
I guess because I'm trying to picture it in my head.
And she starts to move her and shake her like, Molly, wake up. And she's noticing that she's not waking up. So she runs back out to the driveway, to the middle of the driveway, kind of on the side, like the side front of the house. Mm-hmm. And she's like, help, somebody call 911. I need help. And she's like, I was such in like a frantic, like I didn't realize like, I need to call 911. So she calls 911, and you can hear the desperation in her voice, like, my daughter's not breathing. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. So of course the 911 operator calms her down, and she's just like, okay, can you go back to your daughter, grab her from the shower, lay her down, and start performing CPR.
That's the first thing they always do.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what she started doing. She started performing CPR until paramedics got there. They're doing their thing. As they're doing their thing, she walks out and she calls Molly's father. And she's like, hey, and she's like, he's like, I can't understand her. I don't know what she's saying. And she's just yelling and screaming. And at the end, she's like, where are you at? And she's like, at Molly's apartment. He goes, I just got this ugly feeling driving over there that something happened.
That breaks my
And so when he's driving out, he goes, what felt like probably was 30 minutes felt like 30 seconds. I'm surprised I did not get into a car accident when I was driving out there. Because they didn't say how far he was either. So he gets there. By the time he gets there, cops are there, fire trucks are there, paramedics are there. So it's chaos. Everybody's trying to, get to her and see what's going on. And this is a neighborhood that's very quiet. Nothing really happens. You know, it's a suburban neighborhood. So everybody's at this point out and like, what's going on? Yeah. And as the father gets there, paramedics come back out and they pronounce her deceased. There's nothing that they can do. I was just
going to ask, you know, when, because I know she was in a frantic state.
Yes.
But normally, like, I would think that you're going to check for her pulse, right? And she didn't say anything like that, right?
And at the time, I guess because she came out to call the father is why she didn't know what was going on inside. Yeah, because she walked out to the driveway. Let me call my husband.
I'm saying the first time she walked in.
No,
like,
I guess,
didn't
yeah.
check her pulse.
No, I guess she was just like, they're telling me to perform CPR, let me do it. And that's basically what because her mind was just probably like, I don't understand what happened. I don't know what's going on. Why it plays later on that Molly, they're like, why would she, they never would have thought it was a crime. They thought, okay, well, what if she committed suicide? Or what was, if it was accidental?
Did they state what, I'm sure you're going to get to it, but what I think is, it's weird, is it almost seems like she was taking a shower and somebody dressed her after they did something to her. Does that make sense? Like they staged it, or like a doll. You know what I'm saying? Like you just got her from taking a shower. No woman, unless it's covered, like, you know, no woman is going to go from the shower to another room unless it covers all the way down. Does that make sense? Like they're not going to...
Or, yeah, if they just, even if it's just a one piece...
Correct. Because even in your own privacy, we still want to have a little covered up.
Exactly. Yeah.
But to me, you said it was a t-shirt, so I automatically say, no, that doesn't make sense. So what girl is going to put on just to cover this area? You're going to cover this as well. So it'll be a nightgown that you walk from one room to... sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay, because I like that you're doing this, but yeah. So as kind of right away, they start doing the investigation, they start getting fingerprints, they start going through the shower, they show pictures of like the dust, that black dust that they use. So it just looks eerie because it's all black, like you can see all over. Yeah, the whole shower is filled with that dust where they're trying to pick up fingerprints because they're like, this crime scene just doesn't make sense. Like, how did she get here? Why? Like, what happened? And so they start their investigation, and they notice that Molly had a load of wet clothes in her washer machine, and the lid was up. And they're like, that's weird.
Why would she interrupt a wash?
Exactly. And what they found inside was a green fitted sheet. They found a pair of her shorts. They found a pair of her underwear and a pair of black boxers.
No, somebody didn't just try to like get rid of the crime. Then they caught her.
They caught who?
He caught her at an intimate moment. That means that he knows her schedule, and he knows that he must live like close by. I'm just saying he can always be a woman, but to me, it just seems eerie that you're washing the evidence right away, but you left the lid open. It's almost like you were in process and were like you heard something and ran out.
Probably, because obviously the cycle started. I'm assuming because it's wet, so either you stopped it, like from, you know what I mean? You must have been like, oh shit, I forgot to throw this in there. It's something like that. Like that's how they found. Because I interrupt mine all the time. Yeah. Oh look, a pair of socks, and I throw them in there. Sorry, go ahead. No, it's okay. Yeah, that way I know where I'm at too. So, in this investigation, they send Molly's body to the autopsy. You know, to get an autopsy report, and it comes back that she was strangled. She had blunt force trauma, and she was sexually assaulted. The sexual assault, I figured was coming. Wait, so the blunt force trauma in the head, there was no evidence of it? Like, there was no blood? It didn't seem like... Not that there's always going to be blood. From the reenactment that they show, it didn't seem that way, but, I mean, obviously, they when they did the autopsy, they found it, so... I'm not sure if we just, on my end, I didn't see it with the reenactment, and they didn't show it. They didn't want to show it. I mean... That's where it's at.
It is so. This is so weird. Let me just say something real quick. We happen just to always stumble upon like the next episode. Sometimes we focus on one, and then suddenly we get like it. Something draws us to another one. Everything she's explaining, it's so weird. In the almost everything, there's certain like mine had that, mine had that, mine had that, mine had that, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay. So then the next day is when they decide to call call the parents, but the father decides to be the one to answer the phone, and he's the one that delivers the news to her mom of the blunt force trauma, the sexual assault, and the strangulation, and she lost it. She nearly fainted from finding out that news. It was her older brother and the father in the same room because they didn't want to tell the younger siblings,
kids,
which is the younger brothers,
especially that they had a good relationship.
Exactly, like she was so close to them. So I can understand why they didn't, they kept them away. So yeah, the mom just couldn't believe what had happened, because remember, they felt like Molly had no enemies at this point in her life. They're just like, she got along with everybody. She was trying to, she was that sweetheart. She wanted to help everybody. She was selfless like that. It was always about everybody else and not about herself. So they at first thought, okay, well, it was either accidental suicide or it was suicide, is what their first thoughts were. Never did they think it was what they just found out. So it really affected them in that way.
Did they find anything in the house besides the clothes?
As of right now, it was just that, because during this time of them trying to investigate, so there's a lot of pieces moving at the same time that law enforcement is doing an investigation, because all they find is that. So they're trying to figure out how that load got in there, why it got in there, why they're a pair of black boxers. So it's almost like everybody's moving simultaneously, like the family, then the friends come into play as I'm about to speak about it, and then law enforcement. So there's a lot of pieces coming together or trying to come together in the end. So then her friends get involved, because obviously her mom was her best friend, so she knew who her best friends were. And so her best friends played a part in starting to get a list together of people, potential suspects of who might have done this. So they get a list of what she was talking to somebody at that day. She had a date with a man by the name of David Walton. And what they did is they were casually dating. They knew each other since high school. And they find surveillance that they were together earlier that day at a grocery store. And then from the grocery store, they went and played pool for a little bit. And then right before he went to work, they said their goodbyes. She went her way. He went his way because he had to get ready for work. She texted him, have a good day at work. Love you. And it stayed like that. And then later on...
so they were heavy, honey, already.
Well, the way it stated, it was casually dating is how
love you.
Well, they've known each other since high school, so it could be like one of those friends that are
sorry, I love you,
trying to get to know each other, and so
my trauma came out. Sorry,
I know. I was just like, of course, he's questioned. They asked where he was at, and he's like, from work, I went home. I was playing video games online.
Which they can show proof of that.
Exactly, which it later came out that, he was on that, between the time frame that she was found or the crime happened, he was at home.
This doesn't seem like, of a crime of passion, because it's like from somebody that knows you and it's, you just lose it or whatever it is. This doesn't give you that. This gives you like, I've watched you, I don't know how to come up to you. Like, it feels like like this person just watches her. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
like
this
person knows of her but doesn't know her.
So in that investigation, they have David come in just to be sure, just to like give the timeline correctly, like kind of do, where were you at? You were playing video games. Can we, look at your phone type of thing and all of that. So then he comes out with, well, Molly had a friend that came in from Arkansas and flew into Texas, and his name is Ryan. So I think you might want to look into him. And it's so funny that this guy played a part in this investigation, because it's, of all weekends that he comes in, it's the weekend that Molly is murdered, which is crazy. I was just like, oh my God, that's so crazy that he, of all places, of all times that he comes in, but he was actually flying into Dallas Fort Worth, so it's not like he was super close. But it later comes out that they were both excluded. They were not part of the crime. And so back to square one. Okay.
But does he play a factor later on?
No, this is
helping?
it. No, this is it.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was just a friend that flew in from Arkansas, wanted to see her. It doesn't say that he did, I saw her on Friday, or I saw her,
Yeah.
It didn't say none of that. It just said he flew in, he was in town. It could have been him. Both David and Ryan were excluded.
Okay.
So they weren't. So it's back to square one with the investigators. Are like, okay, well, let's try to go back to what we found in the apartment. And they noticed that in one of the pictures, they noticed that her phone was tucked underneath her mattress, but it was on the charger. And they're like, okay, well, let's go back to her phone.
Underneath the mattress?
Yeah, it was tucked underneath her mattress.
Okay.
Do you want to see it?
No.
No? Okay.
I guess because
Just so you can picture it?
No, I see it in my head. What I don't see is why she would do that.
Exactly. So
it's weird. It's almost like you don't want the neighbors to hear the phone ringing.
Or you think that the phone is not going to be found. But it is, because you're going to see it. But that's, I was like, why would you tuck it underneath? Like,
yeah, that's true.
It's one of the, I don't know. It's crazy how this person's mind worked and how they maneuvered themselves in the crime. And I was just like, you thought you weren't going to get caught? Like,
most people are pretty arrogant.
pretty, yeah.
Yeah, that they think,
not this
they
one.
They think they're not.
Well, yes, but not with the crime. I'll go into it later.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. So they noticed that she, in her phone, once they get into it and they have access to it, they noticed that she had been texting an unknown number. Okay. And that when they find the unknown number, they noticed that she had invited that unknown number to her apartment.
Okay.
Yeah, and because
she's an adult, she can have her don't.
Exactly, or what her friends thought were like, she was always trying to help people, so that's what they kept thinking. She was always trying to help people and try to give advice and try to help out the best she could. So she invites this unknown person to her apartment, and she it states that, hey, I'm outside, can you come meet me at 10:30 p.m. So she goes outside, meets that person. Obviously they come back inside, and there's one last response from Molly at 11:37 on a group chat to her best friends, because they're trying to make a date, like a dinner date. Like, hey, we're
like what we do.
Yeah, kind of what we do. I was like, we want to, let's meet up at so-and-so, and everybody's responding on the text, and she's like, absolutely. And that's the last time you get a response from Molly, at 11:37.
But that's 11:37 a.m. or p.m.?
PM.
So this time frame that her mom caught her founder was the next day?
Was the next day, yes.
So, okay, because I was thinking that was the daytime, right? Like midway.
Yeah, because obviously the crime happened, I think it was April, I want to say it was April 9th. Because April 10th is where everybody starts finding out, like, what happened.
Oh, okay.
So now we're going back into the investigation, and where they see the timeline of April 9th. At 2:59 a.m., one last text from the unknown number is sent to Molly's phone. And it says, hey, thanks for the advice. It was nice seeing how far you've come. I'm proud of you. And it says HMU when you get up.
Hit me up.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. I have those moments too. Hit me up. You may hit me in. This sounds like a high school friend now.
So it stayed unread. It was never read.
Or teacher or
anything like that. So then police do what they call a reverse search. And what that means is it allows enforcement to obtain information from the technology companies to identify suspects or potential suspects. So they were able to reverse it, and they find out that the number belongs to 23-year-old Reginald Kimbrough. So who this person is to Molly is Molly used to date Reggie when she was in Arkansas. And the way they found out about each other is on a Tinder app. And that's how they found each other.
Okay.
And they dated for a little over a year. But in that time frame, her best friend noticed, like, because remember, her best friend went with her to Arkansas. So they went to school together up there. And they both came back down at the same time. And during that time, her friend described her as like, she wasn't herself. She was always down. She was always in her room. It's like anytime that he could make her feel like crap, he would. And so Molly was like, you know what? I don't need this. This is not healthy for me. I'm going to break up with him. So she breaks up with him.
What a piece of shit.
And I also think that's probably when she made the decision to come back down to Texas, I think that was probably a little bit because...
Like to get away.
Exactly, to get away. And so, they break up, and he starts harassing her through text messages, talking crap to her, telling her all kinds of stuff, and you're no better without me type of thing.
Ew.
Yeah.
It's like they all take a class of how to respond.
Exactly, because he was mentally abusing her because...
Ew.
Because her dad said she would block her number. Molly would block Reggie's number, and he would find another phone to call her from or another number. And here we go again. He would start the harassment again. So I was just like, I remember those days. They were terrible.
Yeah.
So when they find out that the unknown number on Molly's phone, which is her friends and her family, when they find out that she was still communicating with Reggie, they're like, what? Like, why was she still communicating with him? Like, nobody knew that she was communicating
She's
after.
embarrassed.
Exactly. Yeah. And so they were just in complete shock. They're like, okay, now we can see why something happened.
Okay.
And automatically that's where their minds went. Still, investigations are still happening. Police are still trying to figure out how to piece him into the case. And so Reggie grew up in Plano, Texas. So that's crazy that they met in Arkansas and they both are from Texas.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And it's about an hour away from Molly's apartment. And he decides to meet, because detectives eventually, we need to talk to you. You need to come in to so we can investigate to see where you're at, see, where your timeline fits. And so it took him
Normally it's just a couple questions. We need to like remove you from the suspect list. Exactly.
Yeah. And it took him a few days to come in.
Well, yeah, he's probably trying to word it in his head, or like what he's gonna say.
Also because of where exactly, and then where he says he's at. So Reggie obviously states, yes, I did go to Molly's apartment. Mm-hmm. Yes, she invited me. Yes, we were talking about our relationship. We kind of made out a little bit. And then she kind of told him to stop because I have a boyfriend. So he said he stopped.
I guess this is where it pisses me off, where guys like this are so stupid. Mm-hmm. And they think us listening to that, we're going to be like, okay, believe you. Mm-hmm. Because to me, it just pisses me off the fact that you didn't respect her wishes of breaking up. Mm-hmm. You taunted her, made her feel like shit. Mm-hmm. You called her numerous times from different numbers. You were relentless. Mm-hmm. And yet here, she told you, stop making out. Okay, baby, that's fine.
I have a boyfriend.
Okay.
I respect that.
Of course.
So he said that they watched TV a little longer, and then that he left about maybe 1:30 a.m. that morning. So investigators asked, hey, can we have a DNA sample? He says yes. And then, hey, can we have access to your phone? He says yes.
So he already said he was in her house.
So he's placed in the apartment.
He placed himself in the apartment.
Exactly.
He's said he's had only physical, like kissing, and that's the only physical.
That's it.
So his semen shouldn't be in her.
It shouldn't.
Okay.
According to what he's saying, because that's all we did.
There was no.
We just talked. We watched TV.
There was no sexual relation.
And then I left.
At least with her consent.
Exactly. And then he said, once I left at 1:30 a.m., I drove back to Arkansas and stayed with a friend. That's why it took him a couple of days to come in.
You felt the need in the middle of the night to drive to all the way to Arkansas, which from Dallas can take you at least more than 8 hours, right? Mm-hmm. Or however the distance is. You took a journey that long and didn't stop and say, you know what, tomorrow I'll leave, I'll get a hotel room or an Airbnb or whenever this era, the year this was.
Or let me stay at home an hour away and then I'll drive back.
But if you guys were as well as you said you were, why didn't you just say, you know what, you're already here, just sleep in the sofa? Mm-hmm. But that long trip, baby, you see this time and time again. It's your guilt. You got to get the fuck out of town. Mm-hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
So investigators are like, we're not buying your story. Like your timeline.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, your timeline's not adding up. And so they keep his phone. They end up what's the word when they keep their phone? Damn it! I was trying to use the correct term, but it'll come out later. So in that time frame, they also see that there's door cam footage from the neighbors' homes, and they catch him, Reggie's vehicle, leaving at 2 a.m. because it just doesn't catch him at one house leaving; it catches him in several cameras all the way down. So it's 2 a.m. that he's leaving from. Sorry, I got excited. From Molly's apartment. I got
But from this point, he said he left at 11, right?
He said he left at 1:30. So there's a 30-minute window or that's missing. A gap in the story that's missing. What in those 30 minutes did you do if you were leaving at 1:30, but cameras catches you leaving at 2 a.m.? Mm-hmm. So it's just like, okay. So of course, Reggie's asked to take a polygraph and he says no. And that's where he started getting agitated. He's like, oh, I can't lie no more. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. And they leave him alone in the interrogation room, and he's just starting to pace, and he's clenching his fist, and what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Just going back and forth. He's panicking, and he's just like he's going back and forth, and confiscate. There you go, confiscate his phone.
I was gonna say seize, but I was like, I don't think that's what she
confiscate. And so that's when investigators come back into the room and they're like, hey, by the way, we know about the sexual assault that happened in 2014 in South Padre Island, Texas, which is the mecca of spring break for college students.
On her or on someone else?
On someone else.
Lock him up. Lock him up.
It was a young girl that was attending the college in Oklahoma, and she was visiting, obviously spring break, because I mentioned spring break, during that time, and she was having fun. They were kind of sitting, hanging out, drinking, having a good time, and she starts feeling a little woozy, a little out of it, and she's just like, it's not I'm drinking normally, like it's not something like, oh my God, I'm throwing them back or anything like that. I just started feeling like off. And later they both end up walking to the restroom, and I have a video so that way you can see it. They start walking into the restroom, and at that point, as soon as the door shuts from the restroom door shuts behind them, he literally grabs her from her back because he's behind her, yanks her back, and he starts sexually assaulting her. And then you see once it's done, because he knocks her on the floor, he's beating her and assaulting her. She's able to get away. She's running out the restroom with just her, because surveillance cameras catch her leaving, and she's holding on to, because her top is off, so she's holding on to her top and holding kind of her upper part, like trying to cover herself. Yeah. And she's running. She's trying to gun it as fast as she can.
But there's a lot of people, aren't there?
No, because they're in this. I'm not sure if it's like a private area or where they were at, but it states that they end up going to a restroom. So I'm not sure if like they were in a hotel, because it looked like a hotel. You know how sometimes when you go into a hotel to use a restroom, I'm not sure if that's what it was. But yeah, she's caught running back out, and then he's caught like walking real like, oh, nothing happened. All right, cool. Like I'm just walking out, real casual.
So he has like no remorse, I'm
None
sure.
whatsoever. And then the girl, as soon as she's able to get to her friends, she tells her friends what happened. They call 911. She provides a statement, and she undergoes a rape exam.
Rape kit.
Yeah. And later, Reggie Kimbrough is charged with aggravated assault. And then when he's in the interrogation room, he's like, it was consensual. She never said no. And of course, South Padre Island Police forward the case to the district attorney.
Okay, sorry.
And the case is never filed. Never filed. So Reggie walks free.
So he was never prosecuted. He was never taken to court for it. Nothing?
Nothing.
Where the fuck did... Ooh. I'm sorry, but it just makes me so mad how this happens. Do you remember we did a podcast about something like this, that they messed up something along the way?
It was one of our cases. I'm not sure which one.
Like one of the very first ones where they messed up and they were like, well, you're going to let them walk. Mm-hmm. Like, and they can, it's just, it makes me so mad. Okay,
you're going to get even more pissed off. So as the police find out about this, they also tell, I think it was South Island Police. South Island Police also tell, hey, by the way, there was also a sexual assault in Reggie's hometown in Plano, Texas in 2012.
You got to be kidding. And was Reggie anywhere around there?
Not at this time, because these are conversations that investigators are having with each other. But the investigators in Molly's case decided to say, hey, we also know about this because so-and-so told us.
So let me ask you, sorry to interrupt.
No.
Are these cases similar as in the same motive?
Yes.
Like, is there drugs in Molly's? Sorry. Well, it's because know how some of them will escalate? Remember how we had, like, I think Ted Bundy escalated. There was a huge escalation.
So in the earlier assaults, it's not, obviously these girls are able to tell their story. Mm-hmm. So it escalated with Molly, because obviously she's no longer here.
Well, plus he had a relationship with Molly. So hers was more intimate than in reference to these. Mm-hmm. Those weren't. No, they rejected him in a specific way, but hers was more personal rejection. Mm-hmm. No meant probably, no, I don't want to be with you. And look, I'm sure she made a mistake of bringing him back in, but
still,
the rejection still, some men can't handle it.
Yeah. So in that, Reggie's hometown, he's charged again for sexual assault. And this victim was a high school senior, and Reggie met this high school senior at the mall. She later visits him because he's like, hey, do you want to come over? You should come over later. So, of course, she comes over later.
And how old is Reggie at the time?
Reggie at the time, damn it, I didn't do the math. I want to say he was like 18, 19.
So he's shouldn't be hanging out with this one.
Not with, because if the difference in age is, a couple of years, a year, still, if you're not in high school and she is, you shouldn't have been messing with her.
Yeah, because she's a minor.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm sure that's the least of his problems.
So she goes and visits his house. And things escalated very quickly as soon as she got there. And she said that she was forced to do things that she didn't want to. She felt uncomfortable and wanted to leave. And of course, he didn't let her. He even put her in the trunk of his vehicle. And, okay, I thought you were going to say something.
Yes,
okay, go for it.
I think it's because her car, the way it was parked, it almost seems like immediately when he said that.
It was his vehicle. I'm sorry, did I say hers? It's his vehicle.
No, I meant Molly's?
No, this is another case. This is a 2012 case.
Correct.
Yeah.
But Molly
was
the way her car was parked.
Okay, I got you.
I'm saying it just doesn't seem, it seems rushed.
Yes.
Right? And when you said the car, I'm assuming that he probably got Molly from somewhere. That's at least what it feels like, unless she's just a really bad driver.
I don't. It never said.
They never said.
No,
okay,
that
okay.
she was or she wasn't.
Sorry.
I know. I was like, the vehicle never really It's just the fact that her vehicle was still there is where they're like, oh my god, then something happened.
Because you said it was on top, and
Yeah,
I was like
on a curve.
Weird.
That's the way her mom stated it. It was on the curve, and I was like, okay. Me too. I was just like, but I don't see a curve because the house looks like it's in the middle of like houses. So no say.
I guess because what if? Sorry, I'm
it's
going
okay.
back to that. Anyway, I don't want to get off topic. Go ahead.
So he throws her into the trunk, and they end up at the park, and that's where he sexually assaults her. Again, throws her to the ground, sexually assaults her, and of course, she's able to get away. She gets to her parents. She's able to report it. Again, they do an exam on her. They find DNA. And they also find where he strangled her, and they find the visible bruises kind of on the neck, shoulder area, on both sides, kind of, I guess, where he was holding her down like with his hands. Because the reenactment just shows them kind of all over like the neck, shoulder area. And I was like, oh my God, that was intense for that young woman. I feel so bad. Of course, Reggie gets into the interrogation room. Plaintiff police decide like, oh, it was consensual. She never said no. And of course, the detectives in that case made this girl feel like she was lying. Because they're like, well, he said it was consensual. Are you sure? Some people like that. And you could tell that.
I'll bet you anything. If I put money on this, those were men interviewing, right?
Yeah, they were.
What the fuck is wrong with some of these Plano police? Do your fucking due diligence. You're gonna re-rape her again. That's what you just did. You just re-raped this young girl, and by asking her and making her feel like she's the problem.
That's exactly what they made. And she even said it. The girl's like, you know what? Y'all are making me feel like it's my fault. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Like, y'all aren't believing me.
She doesn't drop it. She drops it.
She drops the case. It never goes through. And this is where the father says, this is a perfect example of why victims of sexual assault don't come forward, because police do not believe their story. So remember, he has a sexual assault in 2012 in Plano, Texas. He has a sexual assault in 2014 in South Padre Island, Texas. Okay, so that's already 2. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to see where I'm at. So then, of course, he also takes a polygraph in that 2012 case, and he passes it. I was just like, you refused to take the polygraph in Molly's case, but you passed the one in 2012. Like, where in that did you feel like because you were agitated, you were gonna not pass it? I was just like, okay.
It's a little tricky because I personally would, if you did something, I'd be like, don't take that polygraph, because it's a double-sided, how did they say, double-edged sword, because I feel like it can be good and it cannot. So I personally would be like, just don't take it.
Yeah. So the detectives in Molly's case know that they don't have enough evidence at the time when he's in the interrogation room. And so they know they have to let him go. But remember, they still confiscated his phone. So they still have that. And so the detectives in the Fort Worth, Texas, call the Plano police and said, hey, we don't have enough evidence in this case, but we're working on it. Can you guys arrest him for the 2012 case because there is evidence? And what does Plano, Texas police do?
Let me guess.
No. They said no.
Wow. If you can't, you're going to see this often with a lot of these cases, is that it is so agitating on how some officers just don't, I don't understand why you applied to get this job, why you wanted to do this. This is work for the people that are getting it in the grind of it all. You gotta get in there and say, look, what if it was their daughter?
Exactly.
What
And
if it was you're gonna tell them, Reggie didn't do it because he's a man.
And mind you, this is in 2017 that they're asking them to arrest Reggie for the 2012 case. So you're more advanced in what's going on. So
Correct, to look up. Yes.
exactly. So of course, with that, the detectives in Molly's case have to let him go. So they go back into the interrogation room. They're like, okay, well, we don't have enough evidence. We're gonna let you go. And as soon as they let him go, he storms out. He storms out of the police station. He takes off.
Yeah, I'm sure he takes that nice 8 or whatever a long ass drive back to Arkansas.
And I'm just like, and it gets worse. So this is where I was intrigued, and this is where the evidence takes I've never heard this before, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that they placed this in the timeline. So, and I'm gonna look away because I want to say it correctly. It says that in Molly's garage apartment, she has her own electricity meter running. So she's not connected to anything else but her apartment. Okay. Detectives look at the electrical usage and they were able to carve out a window, the timeline of when the electricity spiked up to use the washer machine. I was like, oh my God, I got excited because I was like, I've never heard this before. And they were able to put
right under 2 o'clock.
They were able to use the window of it went up at this time and it went back down at this time. So it was that window that would have placed Reggie in the apartment.
The people
Where
that
the
do their
cycle
jobs, I
was
want
going.
to kiss you just in the mouth, honey.
Yes, I was just like, oh my God, like where, like I was like.
No, there's some really creative. This is the opposite of good police work, right?
This in Molly's case, yes, they were really like, we're gonna get whoever did this to Molly. We're gonna do it.
And there's a lot of bad ones, but then there's these good apples that I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing.
I was like, oh my God. So because of that, they were able to say, okay, then those are Reggie's underwears in that washer because he placed himself at this time. It spiked at this time, so he was there. Those are his underwears. Still didn't have concrete, like another word, not concrete.
Just evidence.
Yeah, evidence. Like it's saying, okay, we have it. Reggie, these are
substantial.
Yours. There you go, substantial. On April 14, 2017, a few hours after Reggie leaves the Fort Worth police station, at 7:49, 36-year-old Megan Gittram goes on a nightly hike on a nature preserve next to or kind of behind her apartment or in front of her apartment. Behind her apartment.
Close to.
Yeah, close to. And the apartment is in Plano, Texas. So 2 days later, Megan does not show up for her brother's birthday. And the next day after that, she doesn't show up to work.
You've got to be fucking... Oh, he walked out of that police station and was like, gotcha, bitch. And he couldn't have the urge to stop. Oh, there's a serial killer who did that, and I can't remember who it was. He did that. He walked away right as soon as he got out of the police station and murdered somebody.
Mm-hmm. Remember, and it was in one of our cases too.
Yeah.
One of the ones we investigated. A body was later found nearby the lake and is identified as missing hiker Megan Gittram. Autopsy shows that she was raped and her cause of death was blunt force trauma, neck compressions, and drowning.
He's escalating, honey. Mm-hmm. Quick. Mm-hmm. Wait, water again?
Water, yes. Mm-hmm. Because she's in a nature preserve. So there's water.
Well, he's stupid enough to leave something behind. So he was stupid enough to leave something behind here, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sorry, you're going to get to it. I'm right.
Mm-hmm. No, it's okay. The night that Megan went missing at 1:30 a.m., police find loiters. Did I say that right? In the park grounds after hours. So they're kind of like questioning them. Like, what are y'all doing here? And these loiterers indicate that they were talking to a man that was kind of going, like, was kind of erratic, like, where's my phone? I need a phone. Can you lend me your phone? And that he just kind of walks away from them like, no, bro, like, just leave us alone. I'm sorry. I'm choking. And they later find out about 15 minutes later, after they kind of talk to them, police kind of start, driving around, seeing like, well, I mean, they saw him here. They're placing an individual here.
Okay.
So they later find Reggie's vehicle parked in the parking lot.
You okay?
I'm sorry, it's right in my, I don't know what's in my throat.
It's a good story, is what you're in the throat.
So they find his vehicle parked in the nature preserve. Finally, Reggie Kimbrough is arrested for the murder of Molly Matheson after they find the timeline of the electrical usage of the spike of the washer, because he placed himself at the apartment.
Good detective ass work.
And DNA also comes back, and there's DNA on Molly, and there's DNA on the black underwear that they found.
Is this his secretion?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And they also, in Molly's blood, they find GHB, which is a drug rape drug.
Oh, so he did the same thing.
Mm-hmm. He did the same thing.
And he must have escalated with the Guttram, because he didn't get a chance. He wouldn't be able to drug her.
Mm-mm.
He had to
He had to do something.
Something.
Because his phone, remember, he doesn't have his phone. And they're like, shoot, they're about to find out that I probably did it.
So might as well get one in before.
That, or like he
And
needed,
what sucks is that if they had let him walk away with his phone, right? Mm-hmm. They could have easily placed him because of the ping, to show that he is up here. He is doing this.
Mm-hmm. But because he left his car like a dummy, is why they're like...
So he did huge ass car.
Yeah, he left the car in the parking lot.
Was it not running?
I don't know if he was so frantic that he just... I don't know why he left it. It was, for me, it was weird too. I was like,
I'm glad he's stupid though.
But I was like, you just left your vehicle. What do you think they were gonna do? Not find it?
And then you're in Arkansas. Like what were you do? Oh
no, right. He was in Plano, Texas. Remember? Yeah, because he never.
I'm saying like he lives in Arkansas.
Yeah, yes. But
so how is he gonna get anywhere without that car?
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
No, I'm just like you just ditched it. Was like nobody's gonna find me.
Exactly. And so the way they place the timeline of Reggie is he shows up to Molly's apartment, drugs her, rapes her, strangles her, tries to hide the evidence by rinsing her body in the shower, puts her shorts, underwear, and fitted sheet in the washer, his underwear in the washer to try to get rid of any evidence that there is, thinking that would work, leaves the apartment, sends the text message at 2:49 a.m. so that way he's not placed there, and says what he says. Okay. And of course it's not read. And so that way, I didn't commit the crime. It wasn't me. I sent her a message. I wasn't there. But yet he puts himself there. Dumbass. And they also find Megan's DNA in his car, and she was also sexually assaulted. So they found his DNA on Megan's body.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
So that's how he was able to, they placed him for Megan's murder.
Okay, good.
So Reggie Kimbrough was charged with capital murder for Molly and for Megan. At this point, remember, because police are still trying to gather evidence, trying to get as much as they can. And when they're doing this, they also find another assault case in 2014 in Allen, Texas.
Okay.
And this victim was almost left for dead. She was almost gonna die. So she was at a house party. He was at a house party. She was drinking her normal amount. She wasn't like, again, I was drinking my normal amount. I wasn't,
here we go.
And the next thing is she wakes up in the hospital. She doesn't know what happened between the time she was drinking and the time she ended up in the hospital.
Where's he getting this medicine from, or this whatever he's putting in?
Yeah. And the only reason why this girl survived is because a friend of hers was walking. I'm not sure if he was walking like inside or walking like just, you know how when you have a house party, you're kind of just roaming around.
Yeah.
He hears moaning. And when he hears moaning, he's like, what is that? And he uses his flashlight on his phone, and he's kind of like, where's that noise? Kind of trying to follow it. And he finally finds his friend, and she's literally on the ground, bruised, like badly beaten. And she, I find her, like, they show her like where she's like barely nothing, like I think she didn't have her bottom on, or it was like something was missing at her bottom.
Like Molly's.
Yeah. And she was just like, oh, like she was like drugged up.
Did they say that if they found Molly's underwear?
Yeah, remember it was in the shower.
Okay.
I mean, in the shower. I'm sorry, in the washer. Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. And he tells police, yes, I attended this party, but you ain't gonna find my DNA on her. So of course they take DNA from him.
I'm glad he's so dumb.
And DNA was taken from the victim during the rape examination, and of course it comes back as a match to Reggie. So now that's a case in what, 2012, 2014,
yeah.
And again in 2014. So there was 2 cases in 2014: Allen, Texas, Plano, Texas, South Padre Island, Texas, and now in Fort Worth, Texas. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, this guy. So this is where again the police fail these girls. The results come back from the rape, the rape kit and all of that. Mm-hmm. And Allen police do not receive it. Like somebody doesn't sign for it, or I don't know if they like have to have somebody like look at it. Doesn't receive it at the time because the detective that was working on the case was no longer working in that division. So of course the package just goes.
It gets lost.
It gets lost and nobody looks at it. And of course, nothing was filed. Charges were never brought on Reggie.
For that.
For the 2014 case that I just
But the other one should be sufficient to put his ass in jail forever.
So those 2 that happened, had they locked them up, 2014 wouldn't have happened.
Correct.
Okay, you let him go in 2012, 2014 happened. The other case in 2014 wouldn't have happened. But because you failed those 3 times, he was able to murder Molly and he was able to murder Megan. So that's 5 women already. Because
somebody's not doing their fucking job. Mm-hmm. Did everyone clock out? Like, what happens? Did y'all just say, we're not working this year?
Pretty much. That it just, again, this is where I say the system fails. These cases and these girls and these murders and whatever it is. So in total, 8 women come forward to testify against Reggie Kimbrough, but because of COVID-19, it is delayed until March 2022. A week before the trial is supposed to happen, in Molly's case, there's a possibility of the death penalty. Remember, we're in the state of Texas. There's a possibility of the death penalty. Reggie decides to plead guilty. Because
they give him a plea deal.
Because if he pleads guilty, the deal was a life sentence with no
possibility of parole.
No possibility of parole and no appeals. So he can appeal these cases if they find him guilty.
What's a life sentence?
A life sentence is, I didn't look that up.
1 billion years?
I mean, I think I write it down here somewhere. Yeah, okay. I think I did. And he is also done because he's charged for Molly's capital murder and then Megan's capital murder. It's also a deal together, and he pleads guilty to Megan's capital murder. Same thing, and for the sexual assaults, for 4 sexual assaults. 4 sexual assaults, 2 capital murders. That's the deal. In Molly's case, he is charged with life without the possibility of parole. In Megan's case, he is charged with life without the possibility of parole. For all the other sexual assault cases, Reggie pleaded guilty and stacked on another 60 years to the and a third life sentence.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say 7 years. You were pausing so much. I was like, you better not say 7 years.
And in all of this, even though Molly's case could have been tried separately, they were all tried together because if they didn't, more than likely the sexual assault that happened, we probably wouldn't have gotten life.
Correct.
Sentence. I'm sorry. So because
they would have dismissed it somehow,
or something would have happened where he wouldn't have gotten.
Yeah.
These girls wouldn't have gotten justice. So because it was tried together, in the end, they're like, Molly was still here saying, no, we're going to do this together. These women deserve justice.
as they do.
Exactly. So lastly, Molly's mother started a nonprofit organization called Project Beloved, the Molly Jane Mission. And what this is where survivors of sexual assault will be heard, believed, and beloved. It is to educate, advocate, collaborate, and change the conversation about sexual assault, empower survivors to find their voice.
Good. That's good.
So that is the case of Molly Matheson.
That was really good. Thank you for informing. That's a really good one. I've seen some where they at the end don't end up with this much time. Sometimes it's just like 2 years and they're out. So I'm glad that this one he paid the price because he deserved to. With that said, thank you so much for listening. Dame un besito. We gotta go.
Bye.